Oh, I did the blinky. Yay! Looks promising.
It looks promising. Yay! Ta-da! Oh my gosh, guys, you missed so much good stuff. Okay.
For instance, the fact that we have matching lips, which I did on purpose because I was inspired by Jessika, and the fact that we have a blinking light. So please don't mind my haunted hotel that I'm in.
We do virality checks though, right?
Yeah, we still do that.
You ready to record?
Let's do it. Hold on, let me check. I did not test it. And I think I recorded one not from my microphone the other day. It sounded really like it was not. Testing.
Maxie, don't you?
Perfect. Okay. It's great. You tell me when.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, record.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Shoot!
What?
I have my microphone plugged in, but it's not in front of me.
Oh my god.
I was like, wait, where do I clap?
Oh my god.
I'm just so excited.
I know the best. Is it actually, but don't you have to reattach it to the...
It's been plugged in. It was just behind my phone instead of my phone where it usually stays.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
That was
I thought you saw a bug. The way you were freaking out, you were like, I was like, it's just, you can clap the bug in with it.
They're already here. And then I just went,
So dramatic. All right, go for it.
Welcome back to the In Raw Life podcast. We are so excited that you're here today. I don't know, Sierra might not be as excited, but I'm super excited because I know what we're talking about. And Sierra doesn't know what we're talking about because it's my birthday episode.
I am excited. I am not as excited because I'm in the dark, but that's part of the exhilaration. So,
and if you are excited to tune in every single week, we would love it if you would rate, review, and subscribe wherever you are listening to us in your eardrums so that we can get into more beautiful ears in this earth and maybe even beyond.
The aliens can tune in if you leave a review right now.
Never know. You never know.
And if you want to follow us for even more excitement, you can do so at inrawlife.co on Instagram and Facebook. And if you feel empowered or unstoppable and definitely a woman, then you can join our Facebook group, Empowered Unstoppable Women.
Yes.
Now, if we are making you sit on the edge of your seat with excitement to find out what the topic is today, because I know I am, that's amazing, but you have to wait until the reality check. So before we get into whatever Jessika has in store for us, Jess, what's your reality for today?
My reality. I feel slightly nervous because today's episode, it's so good, and I thought of it a few months ago, and I just want to make sure that I get it right. But that's part of life, is not always getting it right and just going through it and seeing what happens and what works out. But yeah, I was thinking about this as I was about a few minutes before we got on the call. I'm like excited and nervous about this, and I want to get it right, but it's okay if I don't fully get it right because things are always evolving and ever changing. And then I think that's always an issue of mine when we record. Like, I always, not necessarily that I want to get it right, but I always want to make sure that I say everything that I want to say about it. And then sometimes after the fact, man, that's one of my things. I feel like I'm not always as good on my feet, and I'm getting better.
Yeah.
But I get really sad when I missed that one point that would have been really good. But
I used to be really bad on my feet too. And I felt the exact same way. And now I guess and I still sometimes get nervous if it's like a big episode that I'm very excited about. But the cool thing is we like sometimes revisit topics. So if you ever forget it, we'll just have to make it another episode. So it's fine. If it's that good. It's totally worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was my thought. And then I also just have like all of this bundle of emotions as usual, because that's, being a human, of it's almost summertime for my kids. So like there's that excitement in the air, and a whole lot of birthdays are coming up in our family, and like, summer things, and we're doing huge things. And I feel like we're like on this precipice of just, it's just gonna like burst open.
Greatness. Yep.
And I want to like get like to that other little side already. But then I also have the juxtaposition of losing my grandmother last week, and it's just super weird in so many ways because of the family dynamic. Plus Emmeline she gets so, I mean, it's completely valid, but she gets so deep in her feelings, and so she's like she can be very up and down right now because of that. And I just it breaks my heart.
Oh, that's so hard. Oh.
So yeah, as usual, a lot of just roller coaster of emotions for so many different things, but in quite a generally good mood today.
Good.
What about you?
I am a little bit roller coastery also. I don't know. Last night I was like kind of, every now and then I get this like hint of depression and I feel it coming back. And I used to like, when that would happen, I used to dwell on it, not say anything about it, and then it would make it worse because I would just be like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be depressed. And then I would get anxiety about my depression, and it would be spiraling. And so last night I kind of felt it, and I go through all the thoughts. Okay, like what was it? Well, I've had a lot of dairy lately, and sometimes dairy affects it. Well, I also drank last night, so sometimes that affects it. And like sometimes when I talk to this one person that makes me a little extra sad, maybe that's it. And like going through all this list. And I was telling Jay last night, because that's something else I didn't used to do. So I'm like, Jay, I'm on the hint of depression. And he's like, okay. And I like, but like he was about to say something. And then I cut him off with all those thoughts. Like, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, it could be this. And he's like, I think you need to go to bed. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. It could also be sleep exhaustion. And he's like, I think it's sleep exhaustion. Go to bed. And I was like, okay. And so I did. And then I went to bed like at 9:30, and I woke up at like 7:30. So it was like 10 hours. Well, I mean, I was up a lot with the baby. He's doing his 18-month sleep regression. So it wasn't 10 straight hours, but still I felt so refreshed this morning. And over the weekend, we finally made our house a home. So I was so like, I feel at peace finally. Like I love our house and I've been excited to be there, but I haven't felt at peace yet when there's like boxes and stuff everywhere. And so we got rid of a bunch of stuff that wasn't ours. It was just like because we bought my mother-in-law's house. So it was stuff that was hers that was going elsewhere. We got rid of all of that. So our living room is clean and clear, and there's nothing to look at but a couch, a TV stand with one blanket. Like I love the minimal look, and it is minimal, so minimal now. And it like brings immense peace to me. Minus the dog pee smell. My dog keeps peeing in the carpet because he thinks carpet is the dirt. He did this in our old home until we were like got rid of carpet, and now he's doing it again. And I just can't figure out how to make him stop. So if any of you listening know how to make a dog stop peeing in carpet, if you could send a message to podcast@inrawlife.com.
Did he have that when he was younger? Because he had carpet when he was younger.
I don't remember. It was like, yeah, he did, but we were only there for like a year, so I really don't remember. And there was a lot going on. Like we were watching someone's cats, and they peed all over the carpet. So like Dex peeing on that carpet doesn't stand out to me.
Got it.
And we didn't have it for so long, and I think it's partially like a bit of rebellion because he doesn't get all the attention that he used to. I don't know how to give that to him either because I have two very needy children. So sorry, Dex, you're gonna play third fiddle. But anyway, any hints would be wonderful. But yeah, that's my reality. But I'm also excited and I'm thrilled because tomorrow Jessika and I are starting a new challenge for our business. And I'm so like, I can't wait for it. But I was like, kind of trying to enjoy the calm before the storm. So the storm of goodness, like the storm of hard work, which is exciting. So all good things with a mix of weird emotions too. So yeah, I get it. Okay. It's time.
Okay.
What's today's episode?
I did a little reach out to people that I know.
Okay.
To ask their opinion on today's topic.
Oh.
And here are some of the varied reactions that I received.
Okay. Varied. Let's hear
it. Bullshit.
That was Jen.
Inclusion.
What'd you say? What was the other word?
Inclusion.
Okay.
Purity test. Overbearing. Love. Destructive. Firebrand.
Wow. What the heck is today's topic?
Do you have any guesses at all?
The only thing that all of that made me think of is saving yourself for marriage.
Saving yourself from marriage?
For marriage. Like not
for
married.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. I kind of like it better that way.
No, that is not today's topic. That's probably not something I would pick.
Well, that's what it brought to my mind.
Topic, and maybe you can give me your very initial first thought.
Okay.
The word. Today's topic is feminism.
Yeah, I already have heard the other words, so it's hard to come up with my own, but I agree with varied. Whoever said varied, I'm on 100% on board. You said varied.
Oh, I said I got varied, like.
Oh,
opinion.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well,
varied is the word I describe it.
That's my idea. So I wanted today's topic to be, what is feminism really? Because it's not a 4-letter word like some people think it is. But that's also their opinion. They're allowed to have that opinion. But yeah, especially when I asked my brother, and his answer was like, oh, well, I mean, it can go into so much, blah, 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 blah. But, they're basically saying it's changed so much and there's so many different opinions. So it's hard to really like nail down exactly what it is. And I said, that's exactly my idea. And I wanted to get the opinion of lots of different people with different political views, different genders, different, just everything views, so that I could show just how the range is of ideas about it.
Can you read your list again? Like, you can go through it quicker, but I just want to, now that I know what it is, I want to hear the words that were describing it again.
Destructive, firebrand activist, purity test, bullshit, overbearing, inclusion, love.
Wow, that is such a random variety.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And it was funny because some people who do have or think they have different views than I do were like, oh, you're not going to like my answer. I was like, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I don't need to like your answer. It's your answer. It's how you feel. So if you look up the definition of feminism online, it says the advocacy of women's rights on the basis of the equality of the sexes.
Whoa, say it again.
The advocacy of women's rights on the basis of the equality of the sexes.
Okay.
So
I like that. That's a great definition for what feminism should be, I think.
But it's also so basic. And I think there is so much around the topic. So I did a lot of research on this because, one, I did it for myself because I wanted to kind of solidify what I think and feel and understand it, because I do identify as a feminist. But the people who have such a harsh reaction to it, I don't believe that that's what I think feminism is.
You mean the people that have a harsh reaction toward, like a negative reaction towards feminism?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
because I think people have a harsh reaction in a positive way towards feminism too.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So I did a lot of different research. I listened to like some different speakers. I didn't love any of the TED Talks in either way about it. Mm-hmm. I listened to a lot of Emma Watson stuff because she's a pretty big advocate and activist. And then I listened to an entire book, which is why I pushed this recording off because I wanted to finish it. And the book is titled Cassandra Speaks by, her name's Elizabeth Lesser. And what she said feminism is, or the basic belief of feminism, is what I resonated with a lot. She said, not that women's rights, that women are right and men are wrong. It's merely that women are people and therefore their voices, values, and stories matter. There goes my dog.
She's not people. Her voice doesn't matter.
Oh, it matters. It just doesn't matter to me if I want to hear it or not at this moment. Enough. Thank you. So that's what I really resonated with that one. I think that I heard this somewhere. I don't remember now. I forget where it was. But it becomes toxic when.
Wait, can you wait till Maxie stops working?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. She stopped. Go ahead.
So on the other side, and I know that a lot of people's negative reactions to it is when it becomes super radical, and when it becomes toxic, or anything can become toxic this way.
Sure.
Is when it's imbalanced, when we isolate a gender, a religion, etc., and we're treating the symptom instead of the disease. So when we only isolate that one, like the feminists that are like only females matter, or if people think that that's what feminists are saying, that's when it becomes toxic, because it's not that we matter more. It's not that we are the only ones that matter. It's that we also matter. And there is so much history. I mean, the reason why that book was titled Cassandra Speaks is about the mythological character Cassandra, who it was something to do with like Zeus and I want to say Apollo or Hermes, I forget now, but she wronged them because she didn't want to be with them or whatever it was. And so one of them cursed her with always telling the truth. She can't not tell the truth. And she became like she was able to give prophecies, but no one would ever believe her. So that's like, from long and far ago myth that is part of what's believed of women. Eve from the Bible, she's all about giving birth and like like what we all come from, yet she's the one that brought the sin. She's the one that like brings sin and death, she talked about in the book. And then Pandora.
And that's all that I feel like she's remembered for too. Like she's not remembered for being the first woman or all the other beautiful things she did. Yeah.
And then Pandora, another long and far ago female character in the myth. She was first woman. She brings about birth, but she also brought all of the evils. And that's what she's thought of for. Pandora's box, that's a typical saying. But the weird juxtaposition is that the idea of female and feminine is this divine femininity and like the Holy Mother, Mother Earth. But we are not allowed to have our own spiritual ideas and personal autonomy. We have to like fit that box. But then if we step into our power of being a woman and embrace our femininity and want to be heard for what we're saying and whatever else, then we're looked at as like the whore. Like she talked about the Madonna versus the whore idea. And, that culture presents, you can either be a good girl and gentle and submissive and pure, or you're the bad girl because you're empowered, embodied, and sexual. And I know that and I'm not generalizing everybody, but that is kind of the idea. And I know that we all have it in our heads because it's so ingrained in us. It's like ingrained in generational after generation after generation, from all of those origin stories of myths and like the first female. It's always been, oh, this divine feminine, yet she's going to do all the evil things the second that she steps into her own power. And it's really sad. And I don't think that feminism is only about bra burning and hating men. It's nothing to do with that. hey, we are also humans. We are so capable of so much. And sometimes we don't even realize it ourselves because we're like, oh, well, we're the woman, so we're going to stay home and take care of the baby. Even though we also want to do all these other things and are so
Oh yeah.
times more capable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Um,
I think like on that thought, like I'm the woman and I want to take care of the baby. Like, there's also this weird thought that like in this way, we're stronger. Like, I don't. Sometimes I feel like if I don't stay home with the baby, my husband can't handle it. Like, he won't know how to do it. And yet, I also want to be free and like we're talking about taking a weekend away. And I mean, there's part of me that I don't want to be gone for my babies, but there's also part of me that like I feel bad leaving my husband with the kids for so long. He leaves for 4 days and it's fine. But if I leave, he's going to need help from his mother and his aunt and his cousin. Like, what?
mm-hmm.
So really, there's a part of it like we need more. I don't know. It's a weird balance.
That's also on us too, though, sometimes, because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that's the idea in our head of, oh, but we can't, like, he needs help. We need to trust men more.
Yeah.
Men are fully capable of being feminists. Men are also
Oh,
able
true.
to be.
Yeah.
I know plenty of male feminists, and
Yeah.
because it's not them saying, oh, women are better than me or women deserve more than me. It's saying I see her as an equal human being.
I
It's not
respect
that we're,
her.
like, yes, there is like actual physical differences. Like,
Mm-hmm.
a man most of the time is able to literally carry something physical better than a female.
Yeah.
But then,
Something
we're
heavier
the
or whatever.
carry babies and push them out of our vagina.
And they can't do that.
There's a balance, and that takes a lot of friggin' strength. But there, of course, there's like the physicalities of it, and then it's you and whatever men, like women and men, are in each other's lives. It's finding whatever works for you. But I don't think that there has to be that defined. Oh, because you're a man, you do this, and because you're a woman, you do this. It's about what you want, and tradition plays a part in that. But there's so much craziness that surrounds this word, and it makes me sad because even I, until recently, was nervous to say that I was a feminist to some people in my life because I didn't want them to think differently of me. Like, oh,
Yeah.
she's so, whatever. Like, she's so liberal or she's so radical or
Right. But you, I
whatever.
think, are a
Oh,
feminist at the true definition of feminist. Like,
yeah.
not. And see, that's so my biggest thought. What the reason I say varied is because, like, I think there's pure, somebody said pure. Like, I think there's like pure feminism, which is like genuinely making women equal. Like women's suffrage didn't happen until the late 1800s, right? Am I wrong in
Yeah,
that?
I have the timeline of events here.
And it's just like that's mind-boggling to me. That's not that long ago. And yet like now I feel like we've come so far, which is great. Um but like there's a little bit of like how could they have ever done this to us? And then there's this like hatred. And I think like for feminism to actually have power, it needs to not be at the expense of
Mm-hmm.
man.
Yeah.
Like my one of Jay is, I mean, I don't think he would describe himself as a feminist because of like the same way that you do, but I've never met a man who's respected women so much. Like he was raised by women, all like by aunts and his grandmother and his mom. And when I met, like the way he respected me when I met him, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like he loves women very equally. But he has like an acquaintance who posted on Facebook about how like white men are all evil. And he's like, dude, like we're supposed to be friends, like how, I mean, it's not, they're closer than acquaintances. I just don't want to like give away who it is. But he was like, we're friends. How can you think all white men are evil? And you're married to a white man and I'm a white man. Like there's so like you can't
You can't
by
show
putting
it.
that on blast on Facebook, you're turning off the very people that you're asking to treat you as an equal, and that's not the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to like you can't put on blast all white men and expect that they're going to treat you with respect when you're like when some of them actually already respected you beforehand. That's what I believe anyway.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Give me your
I was
thoughts.
trying to find something. Well, no, I mean, I agree with that. And I'm never a fan of anything that's so generalized because there's always so many facets to it.
Oh, yeah.
And doing all this research and listening to stuff on feminism and being a feminist, it's so tied to racism and any other inequalities that there are because equal I mean, the definition of equality, I didn't look it up. The definition of equality, like, an equal sign would mean it's the exact same. But when it comes to culture and people, I think it has such a broader definition. It's not saying because I have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, you need to have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's the fact that we as a person matter just as much. Not that it's going to be put above anyone else or below anyone else, and not necessarily that you're going to win because you need to be seen as equal. I think it's just you're allowed to be heard as well. Like and we're going to give just as much importance to it. Like listening to all of this, thinking about women in the workforce and all the different laws that give any, particular race or gender like a leg up in hiring process or a leg down because they see that and they're like, oh, that's not what we want. Like I wish that it could be a completely blind process in any sort of choice when it comes to anything. I mean, even like you were saying, it took how long for like women's suffragette, and then it took how long for us to have a female in the White House, and we finally have one. And I absolutely love it, and I like her. I think she's awesome. But like, why does it have to be such a big deal to make sure? Why can't it be here are the humans that you can choose from. Here are their values and what they would stand for and do for you as the people of this country.
Here are their qualifications.
You may not see what color they are. No, you may not see what gender they are. No, you might not even know their name. They're just like choice this, that, and the other. Pick.
Yeah.
Like that would make it, that gives an equal chance, And same with like for, a job. If a job comes up, it's here's the pay. Here's what we need. Send in your qualifications. Let us pick you based on your qualifications and that you're going to accept that pay or not, or whatever you're going to do. And then hire them. And then you get to see who they like, you get to see what they look like.
Yeah.
That matter to what they can do for you.
Yeah. I keep thinking of arguments in my head, like, well, what if you need, whatever. But it's like if you can the only option that I could think would be different is needs to be able to pick up like whatever how like you said like women like our bodies are built different, but even then like a woman could
there's been plenty of jobs that I've applied for and worked for that's like needs to be able to lift 50 pounds. Great, I can do that. Needs to be able to stand. I can do that.
Right. Yeah. There's nothing I don't think there's even a requirement. I don't know. Yeah. And even still like I was thinking like a lumber yard or like a rock quarry where you'd have to be able to lift really big stuff. But there are women out there who can do that. Yeah. Like it's maybe it doesn't come as easy to her, but all the more reason she's qualified because she's worked that hard to be able to lift that. So there's really like not a single job that I can think of where like, or you could think the reverse, like, oh, a nanny. Well, like women have a sensitive touch and whatever. Yeah, there's men out there who are great with kids too.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I said I agreed with you. There's plenty of men out there who are great nannies.
Yeah.
And you could easily, like for a rock quarry, you could easily hire a man that says, oh yeah, I can do all this stuff. And then he quits a week later for him. Or you could hire a female nanny who is terrible and doesn't pay attention to the kids or
is on the phone with her boyfriend the whole time.
Like we're all capable of the same things when it comes to character.
Yeah.
Yeah, going back to like the traditions and the myths, she even in the book spoke about there was a time where she and her husband were traveling France looking at all the old caves, like with the markings on them and the stories that were told on the cave walls, because I think that was some of the oldest found. And there's a lot of research done on that says, because originally they were thought, oh, these were made by men. Like the men were the ones who drawing these stories, drawing the pictures. But there's been research done that these actually might have been drawn by the females. Like the females might have been the ones in charge, the ones that were making the decisions. And it's just the fact that then somebody stepped up at some point in history, in our history, and all the men were telling the stories. So they're telling it from a male's perspective because that's what they think happened. And so that's what's perpetuated over the years. I mean, it's mind-boggling how ingrained in our culture and society and the world it is that men tell the stories, men's voices are heard more often. Her son went to, I forget which school he went to, but it was a good college, and the reading list for the college, I think it was 100 books maybe, and it's like some popular reading list. Literally every single book was written by a man. It's like, in fact, and while she was listening, I think even the top 10 or top 20, I was thinking, yeah, that's everything that we were told to read in high school, and they're all men's perspectives.
Well, then there were women authors who had to take on the pen name of a man just to get published.
Well, and that's another thing, is they had to do that just in order for their voice to be heard. They had to pretend that they were a man.
I have a hard time believing that the women were ones in charge and then it switched, though, because I feel like if women were in charge, like they wouldn't have let it go. Like I think it's a lot of work to have, like, how did the men all of a sudden become in charge? I feel like that's, I don't know.
Well, I mean, back in hunter and gathering days, the women were the hunter gatherers. Like they were the ones going out and doing the big work.
Yeah, maybe. I thought they were just the gatherers and the men were the hunters.
No, I'm pretty sure they were I don't know, I could be wrong on that.
I think the women are the gatherers.
No, but I said I could be wrong. I remember thinking how interesting it was that the women were whatever they were, though. What was the women?
I don't know. Only Google will tell.
Right? Only psychology.com will tell. Yeah, but I mean that. So maybe that's why I was a little bit nervous too. Is just there's so much research to be done on it, and there's so much more to think about, and it's sometimes hard to find the facts because it's from so long ago.
Yeah.
And I'm still developing my thoughts, but I wanted to get it out there and talk about it because I know you and I have kind of vaguely talked about it in the past too. I don't even remember what brought this up a few months ago. And I was like, oh, this is what I want to do my birthday episode on. But yeah, I feel like in the past, and I could be wrong, so sorry, but I feel like in the past you had said, well, like you don't feel like you're a feminist because like you enjoy the kind of typical gender roles in the household.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I do, like, I would rather let Jane do the man stuff. Like sometimes I'm like, I could mow the lawn, but no, we're not gonna.
Yeah, you just don't want to.
Right. I really love, like, I like letting him be the man, like, which I feel like would be so anti-feminist. Like, I love being like, well, honey, can you fix this, this, and this? And I see those things like where women are like, like, oh, I have to ask my husband to do this. Like, I could figure it out, but I don't want to figure it out because I want to spend my time and mind on, honestly, in raw life. Like, I want to change the world. I want to help women on a like mental health level. That's my calling. So I'll let Jay fix the toilet and the yard and whatever. Like, that's just how I feel.
Yeah. I mean, I've been with two people that are, serious relationships who are very much like, this is the man and this is the woman's job. But then they're usually totally fine with putting off their quote unquote man jobs on me as well. So I have a weird relationship with it all because there are tasks that I am fine with doing and tasks that I just don't freaking feel like doing because not because I'm a woman, but because I just don't enjoy doing that. Like taking out the trash is not my favorite thing, but I've taken out the trash most of my life as an adult because I've had to. for, time reasons or the other person not doing it reasons. Lawn care, both of them have been like, I can't believe you don't mow the lawn. I'm like, I literally just never had to. I didn't learn growing up because by the time that I could have been old enough to push them on a lawnmower. We lived in apartments and townhouses where I didn't have to learn. So I just don't feel like it because, again, I have other things like my child and my work and reading and taking care of myself that I want to put my time into because I put my other time into the household in other ways. I happen to do the laundry because I totally don't mind doing the laundry and he hates it. I take care of budgeting because I'm really great at it and I enjoy it, which is, usually quote unquote a man's job. And he doesn't enjoy it and is terrible at it.
That's funny. I like taking out the trash. Like it's funny that I guess I have these ideas, but it's really a matter of preference. Like I don't want to do certain things. I don't mind. I like taking out the trash because I like going outside. Sometimes I think I should probably mow the lawn. I'd probably like it because I like being outside. So I should do the outside chores and make him do the inside chores. But I also,
good workout.
Yeah, but I just let him do it. I like relaxing outside. Yeah, and that he comes in and he smells delightful. I mean that seriously. For those listeners who are like, ew. I know you know. Anyway, but
I have things that I need to let go of too, though, when it comes to thinking, oh, well, those are the man jobs or that's the man thing to do. Like I enjoy a door being held open for me. Yeah. And I enjoy
when respect.
The guy walks on the outside. Like if you're walking on a sidewalk, he walks on the street like I do with my kid, like protective. Yeah. I enjoy feeling like they're protective over me, but at the same time, I'm protective over them in certain ways too. I was watching something with Emma Watson just before we started recording, and she was talking about some of these little things of how do you feel about this? And she said, I think it just comes down to respect. Of course, I enjoy a door being held open for me, but I also will hold the door open for a man or someone else.
So true. That is so true.
She said, she went on this is back from 2015 though, but she had gone out with a guy and she chose the restaurant and she paid. And they had a whole conversation about it too, because he felt like a little weird that she was paying. And she's like, well, I chose the restaurant. This is my favorite restaurant. I'll pay. It's not that big of a deal. You can choose the restaurant next time and you can pay next time.
Yeah.
Because like even now when we go out to restaurants, sometimes because my dad always did it when I was growing up. And my dad is super feminist, not Mr. Macho Man, like the quote unquote idea of a man, but he's my idea of a man because he's an amazing human being. Mm-hmm. But he used to order for me. And I think my grandfather used to do it for me too. And it feels nice to be treated that way. But I don't think that it has to be a man versus woman thing either. Like sometimes I'll tell Jed what I want to order, thinking that he'll do it because he's like Mr. Man in his head and his ideas. That he motions to me like, okay, or go ahead and order. I'm like, oh, okay. But I could totally order for him too. Like those ideas are silly as long as the love and respect is there. Why does it matter?
Yeah.
I want to treat Emily. I want to show Emily how to be treated as a woman, yes, but more as a person. Mm-hmm. Like I want Jed, who hopefully one day will be, an official figure, like father type figure in her life, and her dad as well, even though we're split, to show her how they treat me as another human being and her mother, not just because I'm a woman. Mm-hmm. And so that she knows that's what she's going to expect from a partner, not necessarily a man, even if she likes boys and wants to marry a boy one day. I want her to know how to be treated as a partner.
Mm-hmm. So what that made me think of is how, like the other side of the feminist, like not the bra burning side, but the whore, quote unquote whore side. Like Marilyn Monroe, she embodied her femininity, and you bet she let men hold the door and pay the bill and whatever, because like she used her femininity, I think, in a way for that. And like I guess that if I don't know. I mean, like I would call myself a feminist in the fact that I think women should be treated equal. I wouldn't like I'm not the bra burning feminist in any way because
Well,
go for it.
I'd seen this morning, but I didn't write it down because then it was just going to so much more, and I was like, this is like so many different aspects. Like there's so many facets of it. But I saw a few articles that there's 4 different types of feminists. Like there's actual types.
Oh, can you find it? While you're looking at, I had another thought. What was my other thought about Marilyn femininity, using your femininity? I don't know. I've lost it. Burning. What the heck was I gonna say? I know.
There's also 4 waves of feminism that people talk about, but that's more of a timeline and what issues like that generation is super concerned about. Why did my internet just go up? Terrible timing, internet.
I know. Well, while you're looking it up, I will say the other thought that I had, which now I've already forgotten again. Oh, I think a part of the reason that I don't like really feel the need to label myself as a feminist or not is because I have this like blind, perhaps naivety of the way that I'm looked at. Like I just am like, you know what? I'm as equal to you as possible. And if you like, I don't assume that people look at me as less. And sometimes I hear the way that men talk about women, like maybe they don't know I'm listening or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's disgusting. But I still don't ever like, I guess I assume that they're not talking about me like that, or I just don't like, I don't care. Like, I think you can say that about me, but you're an idiot. Like, I'm still going to be what?
That's on them. Like,
yeah, like I'm not, that doesn't make me not want to be an amazing person. Like, I'm going to do amazing things. And if you're going to talk bad about it, well, like, you probably suck as a person. So sorry about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Emma Watson was talking about that too. Like they showed some Twitter comment that she got, and it was, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. And it was something like, why don't you get back in the kitchen? Because someone was trying to be obnoxious. And she said, when I was younger, that's something that would annoy me, and I would like get back on or try to like engage. She said, now, just like you just said, it's not worth it. And that's okay. And on anything that you feel passionate about and someone's saying the opposite, you learn as you get older and mature who's worth engaging with and will actually be open and listen. And it's not that you're going to come to an agreement necessarily, but who it's worth engaging with and who it's not.
That's so funny. Jay and I were just talking about that yesterday because I was talking about my dad and how different we are. Like we have very different opinions, but no matter what, he respects me. And when I come to him with an educated side, he doesn't necessarily agree, but he's like, he definitely respects my level of knowledge on it. And that's huge. So like, those are the people that you can like have a conversation about it with. And the other people, like, I just don't care. Like, you're probably pretty piggy. Like, if you look at women that way, okay, whatever.
Not just men.
What?
Some women are that way. Some women
are
misogynistic.
Yeah.
I think Emma Watson said that some of the
anyway, what were the 4 different kinds of? Go for it.
Emma Watson said some of the worst. I can't think of the word now. Like disses that she's ever received, especially professionally, were from other women.
Oh, I believe that because women are catty. They want to knock you down if they're jealous.
Hey, men can be catty too. Equal opportunity here. But it's true. It can be too.
I mean, women are catty about women. Like if they're jealous of their situation, I guess men could be catty about women too. But I think men are catty about men.
Maybe I just know too many catty men.
But are they catty towards women or are they catty towards men?
Yeah.
Oh, both.
Okay. The 4 different types, at least that I see here, I'm guessing that this is kind of a general idea too. There's liberal feminism, quite tame. They argue that gender inequality lies in the denial of rights to women in primarily the fields of education and employment. Marxist feminists. Male domination over women is a byproduct of the current system of production within this capitalist epoch. Radical feminism see gender equality as a system whereby men benefit from female subordination, which has been created through the patriarchy. And then dual system theory feminism, a synthesis of Marxist and radical feminist theory, take a position of importance as we're in a capitalist patriarchal society where both systems work together. So the 4.
I don't get that last one.
Well, so like the last one is saying they take the Marxist and the radical where they are fighting against the patriarchy part of it, like, which is what the radical feminist, where it's like control and law and order, as well as the system of the economy, like where we stand there. And to be honest, I can't say that I necessarily fit into any one of those, but that was the idea, and something that you said brought that up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But as we go on through the ages and more is known and more research is done and more women and men speak up, I think that's how we get so many different views on it. And it's hard to nail down a definition, just like how we asked for better human clips last year and strength clips this year. We all are allowed to have all of these different opinions. Yes, there's a dictionary definition, but it's such a broad idea and term that it means something different to each person, whether it's negative or positive or a mix.
Yeah, that's true.
I was trying to think of like a game to do, but I couldn't think of one unless I think of one. But I did look through.
What's the girliest thing you've ever done versus the manliest thing you've ever done?
No, that's bullshit.
I know.
What do you call it? Valid or bullshit? I used this as a way to try to find a game, but I couldn't in it. But I went through the history of feminism. So, and of course, I'm sure it went back before this, and there's things that I'm missing. But these are kind of the big ideas, like we talked about, from 1850 to 1920. That was almost 100 years. That's a long time where the women's suffragette idea came up, and finally we got the right to vote in this country.
It wasn't until 1920.
Mm-hmm. That's what
I always.
I thought it was 1918, but it said 1920.
I'm sure you're right, and I always just assume that that's like, no, it's that Black voters got to vote in the late 1800s, and women, it wasn't until 1920. I always get those. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, those women, I feel like they were the beginning of it, really. They saw the inequality and they spoke up and they didn't back down.
Yeah.
And those women are definitely heroes.
And then it was only 100 years ago, which is even crazier.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, crazy.
Then I was some of this I kind of wrote down myself because really it jumped forward to the 1960s. But I was thinking, in the 1920s, the flappers really took power of their femininity or whatever they wanted to be, because they actually came in fashion to have like the more boyish look, where they had the shorter straight hair, the lower waistline, so you couldn't really tell what their shape was, and they lived wild and free. So I was thinking of them, they were kind of like feminists because they stepped out of what they were supposed to be doing and did what they wanted. Evelyn and I went to a history museum this past weekend, and there was something about a corset. Like, she said, "What's a corset?" And I said, "Oh," I said, "It's this thing you would have hated." I was like, it was the really early bra, basically, but it like went from here all the way up to here, and it sucked you in and it hurt. And I think it was really, really unhealthy for most people. She's like, "Oh." But that's, we had that because we were supposed to be an hourglass shape, and that's what was attractive. And even though it was squishing people's organs, that's what we were supposed to do. So I thought flappers their own.
I think that still exists. I mean, there's like, waistbands and, accentuating, like lifting bras and whatever, which if you want to show off your stuff,
yourself, go for it.
Right. But if you feel like you have to, what'd you say?
I said, yeah, hopefully don't do it for anyone else.
Yeah.
Agreed. Like I go get my bikini waxed, and I, wear whatever it is that I wear, because that's how I enjoy looking and feeling. I remember I was still going for bikini waxes when I wasn't with anyone. And my mom was like, "Oh, are you seeing someone right now?" I said, "No, I'm doing
Amazing.
This isn't for anybody else."
There's so the leggings that Jamie sells, the Zaya leggings, I freaking love them because I've never had a butt and they make me look like I have a butt, and I just feel powerful. I'm like, I can do anything in these leggings. I can run, I can climb a tree, I can like do the splits. I cannot do the splits, but I feel like it because it like makes me feel awesome.
Aww.
Gosh, I wonder, like my husband likes it too, but that's another benefit for me later on at night.
Exactly.
You say you wonder what your butt would look like? It like looking at the pictures, did you see she posts pictures of like other leggings, and these leggings, they just make your butt look so awesome.
That's funny. Then I wrote down the 1930s because that's when a lot of women stepped into the workforce, because it wasn't normal for the women to be in the workforce, but all of a sudden there was a need for us. So we stepped in because we're always willing to pitch in. And then when the men came back from the war, we were asked to leave the workforce. And that's when a lot of women got the idea of, hey, I enjoy being out there and contributing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, they were kind of the original, balancing it all women. I can raise my babies and love them and work and contribute to the household and the world.
Well, I feel like they were the modern version of that, but like way back in the day, women did it all anyway, like they raised the babies and they took care of the house and they gathered, possibly hunted, if that's up for debate. I mean, like I think there was just like a weird time where it was like, oh no, you go home and you stay home and you take care of the babies. Like that's kind of a weird era. A podcast that I really love is called Even the Rich. Have I told you about this podcast? And they're going through, I'm listening to the one on JFK and Jackie, and it's amazing the things that she did because she knew she had the power to do it. Like even just, again, like embracing your femininity, she made, like the White House apparently was kind of in shambles when she took it over. It had mismatched furniture. It was not it wasn't something you would be proud of. And she's like, I'm going to make this beautiful. And she did. Like, and that I think is amazing too. Like it's not, she wasn't moving the furniture with her muscles, but she was decorating it and making it look phenomenal. And because she had the power to do it. What?
It represents our country. So
yeah. And she, like, the reason people want to go to the White House is because Jackie made it look gorgeous. She did that.
Yeah. She did that.
She did that.
And then, I mean, I didn't write this down, but because when you think of the 1950s, or like the 40s and 50s, you think of I feel like the general idea is the very feminine, perfect housewife, Pleasantville, that kind of stuff. But there is, and I'm not saying that Marilyn Monroe necessarily, I don't know enough about her. I feel like she's a very, there's a lot of sides to her, and who knows if she necessarily would be the icon for feminism. But she did. She embraced who she was. She put it out there. I think there was a lot of insecurities in there, but we all have our insecurities.
Well, it's funny that you bring her up because, again, like listening to because Marilyn Monroe most assuredly had an affair with JFK. And
we call him Jack now.
We call him Jack on this podcast. We know him well. But Jackie, like, I think, honestly, if you look really deep into her, she is an ideal, or not an ideal, like what's the word I'm looking for? A stereotypical. I don't know. She was very very much a feminist because she was raised wealthy, so she was sent to these boarding schools where she was taught how to like drink tea and like where you're supposed to have the handle and all this stuff. And they were grooming her to be a good housewife. And she's like, no. She was engaged before JFK and was like, I'm not going to do this because I don't want to be a housewife. And then when she met JFK, he would get headaches if he didn't have sex every 3 days. So she knew going into the relationship that he was going to be unfaithful, and yet she like took it as an opportunity still to like make a difference for the world. So like she went into this relationship. It's a weird way around it, but like she had a very feminist viewpoint, and she took things into her own hands in the ways that she could at that time. So it is, I think it's like a flip side. There's Marilyn Monroe, and then there's Jackie O. And they thought she had a boyish haircut too.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
And then in the 1960s, that's what they call the second wave of feminism. And that was about cultural inequalities and discrimination. And that's when you get into the bra burning stuff too, and the not shaving the armpits, which who cares? Why does that what? Yes, that's what they were all about. And they were like shoving it in your face. But uprisings like that, where it so takes it to such a high level, and we've seen it with racial inequality conversations and events, especially in the past year, the reason why it gets to such a high level is because their voices are still not being heard.
Yeah.
Like think of a toddler. If a toddler says something to you and you brush them off or you ignore them or you don't hear them, they're going to get louder. And any human's going to do that. If you don't hear me once, I'm going to speak again. If you don't hear me then, or you don't listen, or you brush me off, I'm going to speak a little bit louder or take a little bit more action or ignore you and go do my own thing really loud.
Well, it's funny that you compare it to a toddler, because I feel like toddlers nowadays do that because we give them voices more. But like a toddler in the 50s was told to be seen, not heard. And so like sure I think that what?
I'm sure they still screamed if they didn't get their way.
No, I don't think so. Like my mom has memories. No, I'm telling you, Jess, it was a different time. Like my mom has memories of like she was not allowed to have a voice. She remembers one time being like tired at the table. She was probably 4, and she like leaned on the table and her dad hit her elbow with a knife because you don't like it was a totally different. I mean, maybe your parents were not like were allowed, but both of my
they weren't being reprimanded. Yeah, especially if they're reprimanded physically, that teaches them, okay, if I do that, then I'm going to get hit, so I don't want to do that anymore. But the initial human reaction is
right, and that's what I'm saying. Like they like that's where we go to, and then we're shut down, and that's like women. Women probably were born with the thought that we can do anything, and then something happens that tells us no, 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 until we get to the bra burning point. Like when you're shut up enough, like that's when that's when it becomes extreme, because like no one's going to tell you no anymore. Like you have a voice, so I think it's like all the more disruptive.
Yeah. And then in the 1990s, they called a third wave of feminism, and that was somewhere it said like challenging the second wave of feminism. They were more focused on the work. I think they were more focused on like workforce and girl power, like think about Spice Girls and all of that. But at the same time, there was a note on the third wave was very much upper white class women being taking it over. And then all of these other voices being heard, which is what brought about the fourth wave. I think it said like 2004, 2008 is kind of when it started, where it was these spiders. I don't know what they were doing in my house. It's the same type, and they're just like, they keep popping up around my desk, and I keep killing them because I can't get them out the door because they're too fast. I'm not killing.
Use that feminine power to kill those spiders.
Exactly. But then more other races, religion, or even economic classes are speaking out and being feminists as well now.
Starting in 2008.
Yes. Like saying, hey, what you're saying as you being a feminism is not my story, because our stories are very different.
Yeah.
But something cool that I thought came about in the 1990s, along with the Spice Girls, of course, was in 1993. I don't know if you remember this, is when it was originally Take Your Daughter to Work Day.
Yeah.
Then and that's just because of the inequality, which is sad, because it should be Take Your Kid to Work Day. But that was brought about to show girls you can work too.
This.
You can be a part of the workforce too. I used to love going to work with my parents.
Oh, me too. I forgot that it was originally Take Your Daughter. Wow. Huh. That's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much more that can be talked about, but
yeah,
that was the general idea.
I love it. Thank you for picking such a raw topic. I feel like it's controversial, which makes it even more raw.
And it's still ongoing. I mean, I'm still
right.
figuring myself out as a feminist and finding my voice, and hoping to lift up other voices. We talked about, so I'm sure we will, lifting up other voices that are not like ours at all in August on the podcast. So I think that'll be really exciting to do, because we are middle-class white girls.
Yeah.
And this is our story and our voice, but it would be wonderful to have lots of other voices that are not like ours.
If you feel like you want your voice to be that voice, reach out to us, podcast@inrawlife.com. And you can also be a part of the show by sending us a clip of what strength means to you. So any way you want your voice heard, whether it's you feel like your voice is not a common voice, we can possibly feature you on the show in August. Or if you just want to define strength for us, go ahead, give an audio recording, no more than 30 seconds, and about what strength means to you, and send it to podcast@inrawlife.com.
Did you have any game ideas before we go?
No, I don't. I thought that was the game replacement.
I mean, yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Well, Jessika, thank you again for. Are we done? I'm sorry, I'm jumping right to it. It was a good time to fit that in. Well, thank you for bringing us that episode. I think I already said that. And happy birthday. That was so rude of me. Happy birthday.
Shanks. Until next week, I really hope whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever age, gender, race, religion, political view, anything, that you take the time to think to yourself on what it means to you, and understand that feminism doesn't just have the one definition, and it's not only the loudest voices that get to define it. I hope that you, above all else, love and respect other human beings, whether they respect you or not. Respect doesn't always mean that you fall over yourself for them. It just means that you can respect them as another human, and that they have their own opinions and values. And if bras make you really uncomfortable, you can still burn them. It's okay. You don't have to wear them if you don't want to. That's a personal choice.
Yeah. Actually, fun fact. This could be our first blooper. If you science shows that women who don't wear bras, their nipples raise 6% or something. It's a 6. I don't know if it's 6. They get points.
Like a natural boob lift?
Like a natural nipple lift. Just a nipple lift.
Well, I mean, that's what makes it appear, lifted.
Yeah,
Funny.
Exactly.
Funny thing is, I actually haven't been wearing a bra that much lately.
I haven't either. I used to wear one to bed every night because I was like, my
God, as a teenager, I did. Because
I don't want them to sag one day.
That was weird. It just, I felt weird not wearing one. And then I really don't like it if like my nipples can be seen. But lately, as long as it's not too, like, as long as that's a personal preference. I don't care about other people. I don't like it.
Right.
But if they're not like really showing, I've often not been wearing a bra lately, like out in public.
Like in public? Oh, I love it. I feel like I can't get away with it as much because mine are so saggy. But maybe
I won't.
should.
Mine have really kept they're pretty good.
I know. Yeah, mine are just big, and I could probably get away with it in certain outfits.
And also, I mean, it depends on how you. I mean, if you enjoy how you look without a bra, then who cares?
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well.
Okay.
Stop it. Stop all that nonsense.
Yeah.
Post feminism talk.